Wayne Nish presents the first course from New York City. It's a breakfast precious few could afford, a shirred egg, poached fingerling potato, and sliced white truffle at $2,000 a pound. John Coletta cooks the main course in Chicago, a savory combination of oven-roasted organic chicken breast served with soft mascarpone polenta. Finally, Jean-Luc Albin does dessert in Metairie, Louisiana. It's called three-milk cake, sponge cake soaked in evaporated and condensed milk plus cream, flavored with cognac and cinnamon. The chef co-owner of March Restaurant in Midtown Manhattan is Wayne Nish. He is committed to the concept of a pan-ethnic or global cuisine. That's understandable given his family's ethnic background. His mother is Maltese and his father Japanese-Norwegian. The first course is shirred egg and truffle.
The center of the dish is white truffles. Now, white truffles are, of course, probably one, if not the most expensive luxury ingredient that you can encounter in top restaurants in Europe and in the United States. A lot of people think that white truffles are a fall and winter item. That's actually not quite true. The season begins in Italy in late July and early August, and truffles are harvested in the foothills of the Piedmont Mountains on private land until they can be taken from public land, which occurs later in the year, maybe early October. Truffles themselves come in various different sizes. They're all similar in appearance to these little misshapen fungus-related vegetables, or mushrooms as it were, and are found underground. Once you get them, what you want to do is brush them clean by taking a soft vegetable brush and not soaking the truffle, but just using the damp brush and maybe some lukewarm water and brushing all the dirt off it as carefully as possible. Honestly, the more dirt on it, the better it is for you. The second thing is potatoes. Now, a lot of people think that, well, potatoes are just potatoes, but certainly there are a lot of varieties that shown up over the years. There's been a great movement in the past few years toward heirloom vegetables, and potatoes are no exception. The potatoes that I prefer to use for this dish are a variety called Ruby Crescent. I will leave the skin on it and merely quarter them or cut them into small pieces as I am now. So that I have as nearly a natural product as possible. What I'm going to do with them is poach them in some clarified butter. I'm going to use the Ruby Crescents because I have them here. Just put them into some melted clarified butter that I already have and add some salt to it. With a dish that's as simple as this, it is absolutely critical to use the best possible ingredients that you can get your hands on. We've already spoken about the truffles and the eggs and the potatoes. This salt is a sea salt from Brittany called fleur de sel, arguably the most famous sea salt in the world these days. It's certainly the darling of all the top chefs in Europe and the United States. Now, a pinch of the salt added to the clarified butter with the potatoes is going to season the potatoes only, not the butter itself. Clarified butter is just an oil. It's had its milk solids removed, and it's no different in physical properties than olive oil or any other vegetable. The next item is to cook the egg. I'm using a bleedy pan. Now, this is a steel pan that's about 4 inches in diameter, but failing this, you can use any oven-proof dish, any small dish. And it's absolutely essential that the pan or the dish start out cold. You don't want it hot. If you heat it up at all, which you're going to do 99 out of 100 times, the egg will stick to the pan. I'm taking the egg in my hand and cracking it with the back of a knife so that I can do it accurately and without any shells breaking into the egg, and have minimized the damage of damaging the yolk or breaking the yolk. I'm then going to slip the egg into a 500-degree oven. It's going to take all of about 2 minutes to cook. All right, the egg has been in the oven for all of about 2 minutes, and as you can see, as I tilt the pan, that it's sliding freely in here. That's exactly what I want.
The egg was cooked in olive oil.
Carefully remove it and transfer it to the serving plate. You now have what appears to be a perfect fried egg. The potatoes that I've poached in the clarified butter, I'm now straining out onto a paper towel. I'm then going to strew the egg with a few pieces of the potato. There are a wide variety of expensive truffle slices that you can get from Italy. I don't really care for them because they're not always very well made. I far prefer using these Japanese mandolins, which we use for a lot of tasks in our kitchen. They've become very common in professional kitchens over the years. I'm then going to garnish with an assortment of fresh herbs. Now these are what I call soft herbs. They're basil and tarragon, chervil, parsley, and chive. The flavor combination is greater than the sum of the parts. I originally came across it by the observation that basil and tarragon together was a much bigger burst of flavor, or enhance the aroma and the flavor of the truffles by a few drops of a white truffle oil.
Caliterra is the 120-seat restaurant in the Wyndham Chicago Hotel. Executive chef John Coletta has a good deal of hotel experience, having worked in Las Vegas, Singapore, Atlanta, and Tampa, Florida. In Chicago, he worked at the Sheraton Towers and the Fairmont. Here is oven-roasted chicken with soft polenta. He starts by butchering the chicken.
Okay. And you want to try to leave as much of the fat on as possible and try to break the joint in its back. Okay. You can reserve the legs and thighs for other purposes, or you can leave them on if you prefer to do that. Okay. And then you just take this out and you want to make sure that the skin is protecting the meat. We'll begin by warming a heavy-duty saute pan. Drizzle some extra virgin olive oil, season with some salt, some pepper. Try to just rub that together. If you've got time, you can certainly do this the day before. Another alternative would be to Maybe put some herbs underneath the skin, such as sage, or even if you prefer, you can put some prosciutto on there. Okay. The idea is to caramelize as much of the skin as possible and really try to crisp it. One alternative could be to let the chicken sit out for a day in the cooler unwrapped. That'll help to crisp the skin. And then we just put this in the oven.
300 degrees.
One of the things you want to do after about 15 minutes or so is you want to add some whole garlic, just the cloves, and then some rosemary. Okay. The reason you do that is to add some more flavor, and we're all about getting flavor into the food. Okay. While that's cooking, we'll begin by doing the mascarpone polenta.
It starts with milk.
And what we're about to do is to infuse flavor into the mascarpone, into this mixture. And we'll begin by putting some rosemary, some garlic, and we let this simmer. Then we'll strain this after it simmers very, very slowly. And then we're just going to strain. Now we'll add some butter, Parmesan cheese, polenta. You want to cook this at a reasonably slow pace. And this will take about 6 or 7 or 8 minutes, depending on your polenta. Okay, season. A little more cheese. Okay. Get the oil out.
He uses a fig balsamic vinegar to deglaze. He adds a combination of veal and chicken stock. The pan sauce is strained and a variety of blanched vegetables are warmed for presentation. The plate is started with polenta.
And what you want to do is do this in a circular fashion. Take the chicken, come down on the side. Make sure to leave the wishbone onto the chicken. And gently remove the breast. Slice it down the center and place it onto the plate. So, add the vegetables into this cavity if you like. And then drizzle some of the sauce.
Maurice French Pastries in the New Orleans suburb of Metairie is owned and operated by Jean-Luc Albin. The talented Frenchman was born in the French Alps and worked in his homeland before moving to Bermuda, then Atlanta and New Orleans. He's an accomplished pastry chef, as you'll see with this 3-milk cake. The butter dough for the cake is started by creaming 6 ounces of butter and 2 cups of sugar. 4 whole eggs are added one at a time.
Okay, now I add the flour.
3½ cups of cake flour.
Along with baking powder, pinch of salt, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and then mix slowly, incorporating the milk. This is done. Now this is going to go into a 9x9 baking pan, which has been lined with parchment paper, lightly greased. I want to bake that at 350. For about 30 to 35 minutes.
After the cake is cooled, the chef removes all the browned surfaces before preparing the 3-milk sauce.
Now the cake is set up in a large platter, just like you see right here. We're going to make the milk sauce. For the milk sauce, there is evaporated milk, condensed milk, heavy cream, which is 40% heavy cream, heavy whipping cream. I like to use equal amount. Then I use some brandy. In this case, I can call it cognac because it is a cognac. That's about 2 ounces right here. A pinch of cinnamon.
The sauce is poured over the cake, which over time will soak up some of the liquid. Whipped cream is piped onto the cake. Decoration includes glazed orange sections, candied cherries, and a green garnish called angelique, a largely tasteless item derived from celery or rhubarb. Finally, toasted coconut.